If you're an illustrator at the start of your career and you're still working on establishing yourself in the industry, this channel is for you. I'm James, an illustration agent and author of The Illustrator's Guide. My goal is to bridge the gap between learning the creative skills you need to be an illustrator and finding your first clients and getting paid to do what you love. This channel is all about learning the business of illustration. That's my jam. If you want to learn creative and technical skills, there are thousands of teachers better suited to teaching you that part. I've got an archive of videos here about developing a commercial style, finding clients, understanding contracts, agents, finding your niche, pricing your work, plus some portfolio reviews and interviews with other illustrators and industry professionals. But that's a lot to search through if you have a specific question. So this is the first in a new series of Q&A videos where I'll answer your questions about the illustration business. If you've got a question for me about freelance illustration, you can email me at the link in the description with the subject line, YouTube question, and I'll do my best to answer it. If you want to be kept anonymous, let me know. Otherwise, share your Instagram handle with me and then viewers can go and check out your work too. Oh, and to make sure you see the answer to your question, hit the subscribe button. Here's a question I got from a fantastic paper artist in Poland called Malina. You can check out her work here. She wanted to know more about the commissioning process and specifically how it looks from both sides, what's important for the art director and what's important for the illustrator. First, let's look at it from the client's point of view. The client has a problem to solve. They want an illustration for a specific purpose. Maybe it helps explain an idea in an article. Maybe it's to attract attention on a bookstore shelf, or to show their customers how to use the product that they sell, or for any number of other reasons. They look for an illustrator who has demonstrated in their portfolio that they are good at solving that kind of problem. If they don't see that an illustrator can do the kind of work they're looking for, or solve the kind of problem that they have, they probably aren't going to hire that illustrator. To save time, they'll probably reach out to more than one illustrator at once and send the brief. They can't afford to waste days if the first illustrator decides they're unavailable, or they aren't a good fit for the project, or their price is out of budget. They aren't looking for the cheapest price, usually. They are looking for good value for money. That means an illustrator who can do the job to a high standard and is within an acceptable budget range. Then they'll answer any questions the illustrator has, they'll negotiate the price and sort out the paperwork, contracts, and new supplier forms, that kind of thing. Then, once they've hired an illustrator, they expect them to do what they promised and deliver the work on time and to the same high standard they've seen in the illustrator's portfolio. Remember, you're the solution to their problem. You don't want to become another problem for them to solve. Part of an art director's role and skill set is to help the illustrator create the best work for the client. So they're always happy to answer questions and offer feedback and opinions. Seeking out their input can make the project better. From the artist's point of view, they are most likely pleased to have been contacted about a project. This means their portfolio is doing its job of attracting clients. They've obviously got some commercially appealing work in there if a client is considering them, so that's already a win. They want to get the job, so some illustrators may feel uneasy about asking too many questions in case the client thinks they don't know what they're doing. But there are things you need to know to be able to do the job to a high standard. I've got a video about asking questions, which I'll put a link to up here. If the problem to be solved is not obvious, you can ask what the client's goal is for the project, what idea needs to be explained, what kind of reader is the book trying to appeal to, etc. As well as any technical details you need to know if they're not clear in the brief. If the illustrator doesn't ask questions, it can appear unprofessional, as those questions need to be asked and answered to help the illustration do its job properly. There are no stupid questions. If something isn't clear to you, ask. Some artists may also worry about giving the price they really want to give, in case the client thinks it's too high, and so often they give a low price thinking that it will help win the job. But if you give a price that's too low, it may signal to the client that you have a lack of confidence in your skills, and you might inadvertently represent yourself as not being a professional. If you don't think you're a professional worth paying a good fee for, why should they? Most of the time, it's not the lowest price that wins the job, it's the illustrator who gives a fair price and also demonstrates to the client that they're a good fit for the project. That's going to be their style and the strength of their portfolio, but also how they communicate and the thoughtful questions they ask. Illustrators also have their own goals for projects. They want it to turn out well so they can show it in their portfolio, and they want to impress the client so they can get more work with them in the future. And here are a few tips to help. Show that you can solve different kinds of problems in your portfolio, so you get interest from different kinds of clients. React quickly to an inquiry from a client. You don't have to agree right away, but express your interest as soon as you can, otherwise they might hire someone else before you can get a conversation going. There's a very good reason to do this that's rooted in psychology. The primacy bias means people tend to become attached to the first option they consider. If you're the first one to strike up a conversation and ask some good questions, you might become the client's top choice just because of that. Ask the questions you need answering so you can do the job to the best of your ability. Give a fair price for your work. Don't even think about trying to be the cheapest, but do be flexible and open to negotiating. Be communicative through the project to put a client's mind at ease and to make it a more collaborative process. The art director wants to help. And don't miss the deadline. Sometimes there are going to be circumstances that are out of your control and you'll need extra time. That's okay, it happens. Just give the client as much notice as you can. When you begin to think about projects from the client's point of view, you're going to make their lives easier, and they're going to like that. Add as much value as you can to the project and make the art director look good to their boss, then they're going to want to work with you again and again. If you'd like to submit a question, email me at the link in the description with the subject line, YouTube question. See you next time.